I am the man in charge of the record. Yo. I am the man in charge of the record. Yo. I am the man in charge of the record. Yo. I am the man in charge of the record. Yo.
Hello, how are you? Hi. Hello, I'm Autism Speaks. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, share. What's the other one? Comment. I like when you comment. Commenting is good. Um, I start every live off. Let me pull up my, let's see. All right, cool. Now I'm ready. I start off every live by saying that I lean to the right. So much so that I actually have a t-shirt that says I lean to the right. That's not what I have on right now. I have on a regular t-shirt. But the reason I say that is because I lean to the right. No, it's because I don't want to mislead anyone into thinking anything. Um, I don't want people thinking I'm deceptive. I want them to know exactly where I'm coming from and why I'm coming from there. Let me see something. Does it sound okay? Let's see. Let me check the sound. Okay, yes, never mind. It should sound good. Should look good. Got a new camera. I'm getting used to it. Oh, look, see, every now and then you could see my flag in the back because it's adjusting on its own. I got to get used to it. So I have a flag in the back, but if I just sit here like this, you can't really see anything. Kind of can, but if I lean back, because the camera's adjusting, you can see my flag. Anyway, I don't want people to think I'm being deceptive. I want everyone to know exactly where I'm coming from. I do not want to be like MSNBC, which ironically is but not surprisingly, the topic of today's live stream. So the title of today's live stream is Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff. I don't know why they don't have the same last name. Anyway, accused of slapping an ex, and then James O'Keefe Media exposes MSNBC. I don't want to be like MSNBC. I want you to know exactly who I am, where I'm coming from. I want you to know why I'm coming from there. I want to be able to teach people things that they may not know or talk about things that they may not have heard about. Not everybody, I think, has heard about this, but not from the mainstream media, which is why I decided I was going to talk about it today. Let's see. I have a video. I gotta find it. So I'm gonna start by talking about the video, as long as I can find it. There it is. I don't understand why. Let's see. Free J. Free J's coming in. It doesn't matter what you have to say about the allegation because there's not enough facts and evidence that he and his wife grew up. Absolutely. Absolutely. How you doing, Free J? Phoenix Rising, Mel Dub. I saw Mel Dub in here earlier. Put that on. Thank you guys for stopping by. So I'm gonna talk about this, and the video is right here. There was no mainstream media coverage on this until he responded. I find that weird. I don't like that. A story is a story. When Trump was accused of things, it was massive. I mean, when anybody on his team, anyone on the right period, gets accused of anything, it's massive. And I'm going to show you what MSNBC is doing because James O'Keefe has exposed them completely, and that's going to be later on. But let me start off with the slap video. He didn't get caught on video. It's just the video that I want to play while talking about it.
His husband has a dark secret. You might have seen him in the media described as a mensch or a wife guy, someone who's an ally to women and who's denounced toxic masculinity. But we've just broken a story about him assaulting his ex-girlfriend. I'm a reporter for dailymail.com. I wrote this story. I spoke to 3 friends of Doug's ex. They told me about a trip that he went on with her in 2012 to this big celebrity event in southern France, where he allegedly slapped her in the face so hard that she spun around. She called one of her friends from the cab immediately afterwards and told them what had happened, according to the friend. And she told a second friend at the time as well. The next day, Doug refused to apologize for the attack, the friends told me, and he brushed it off like it was no big deal. These allegations are already pretty horrific, but it gets worse. We're not naming this woman, so let's just call her Jane. I can tell you that she's a successful lawyer in New York. Jane's friends shared photos, documents, messages with us that help back up their story. And they're all credible people from high-performing careers whose stories all corroborate each other's. They told me that Jane and Doug met on Match.com, and things got pretty weird right from the beginning.
According to the Daily Mail.
So his name is Josh Boswell. And he actually has documentation for what he's saying. He didn't just put the story out. He's got text messages, he's got emails, he's got phone records showing, hey, this is what we say happened. They're all credible people. The woman who supposedly was slapped is apparently a high-powered attorney. They're all in positions of power. Is it true? I don't know. I don't know. My issue is more with the reporting or lack of reporting than it is the actual story, because I'm not a big fan of anonymous sources. Never have been, but the left is, and they've always been, which is why I'm like, this is weird that they're not covering this at all. I mean, we know who the media is. I get that, but a story is still a story. Like when Al Franken went through it during Me Too, he still had to deal with the repercussions. So people on the left are victim to this, but they seem to get forgiven much easier. But in this case, they didn't even cover it. So again, that's why I wanted to cover it. And this is a story I think, well, we'll just listen to what else they have to say. I just wanted to start it by saying, hey, this is a credible story, but I don't like anonymous sources. I don't know if it's true. I honestly don't care if his pimp hand is strong. I really don't. Unless it's true, then it becomes even a bigger story, because then it's like, well, okay, why didn't the media cover it at all? Why did the media wait until he responded? Because they never do that. They never do that. They'll tell the whole story and then they'll say, we reached out to Doug Emhoff, whose wife hasn't taken his name, and he has yet to comment. But they still run with the story.
One of the friends said the ex, whose name was not released, called him in tears immediately after and described the alleged assault. Rising reached out to Harris's office, but we have not gotten a response.
The story was picked up by the New York Post. News Nation's Chris Cuomo weighed in on the media's coverage of this, or lack thereof, on his Wednesday night program. Let's watch.
If the name were Trump instead of Emhoff, it would be all over the news. Daily Mail, echoed by the New York Post, has a story. Doug Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband, accused of striking a woman he was on a date with at the Cannes Film Festival back in 2012. They had been drinking, and he didn't like how she talked to the valet. He smacked her. She smacked him back. Ordinarily, I don't care about these stories. You could say, well, there may have been an assault. Well, she didn't go to the police. He's not really running. But again, if it were Trump or anyone related to him, it would be on every TV show that is on right now.
If true, this bombshell comes right after MSNBC host Jen Psaki on Sunday dubbed Emhoff the wife guy, and a mensch, a Yiddish term meaning a kind man. Let's watch.
Has also been an important part, or an interesting part of how people have talked about your role here, is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse.
Does Emhoff live up to the wife guy persona? Last month, Emhoff admitted to having an affair in 2008 with the nanny and teacher Najee Naylor, whom he did get pregnant. So, this is a pretty serious accusation from many years ago, and I am someone who thinks we should reserve a certain amount of skepticism for things that only come out many, many, many years later, for which there is difficulty to provide any evidence. I'm someone who believes very strongly in due process. Now, due process and the presumption of innocence are really only for the legal system. Obviously, people are free to reach whatever conclusion they want in their own personal moral judgment, or even in terms of, fitness to serve in office, although, of course, he's not the candidate. Kamala Harris is. But I do take Chris Cuomo's point that these things seem to get taken extremely seriously, no matter how long ago they were, if the person, by the media, if the person is a conservative or Republican.
And to the reporter's point, again, how you doing, Carter Jagger? To the reporter's point, he has documentation on this stuff. He has phone, he has texts, he has messages from the person. They just don't want to say who the person is. And I still have a problem with that, because everyone has a right to face their accuser. So again, my issue is not this actual story. My issue is that it's not being covered the same way it would. Let's see. Mel Dub says, I was going to send this to you, but I see you're looking at the same one I did a short on. Yes, I saw it. And I think KB played some of it earlier. I wasn't watching, I was listening. So it sounds like the same thing that he covered earlier. But yeah, so there is credibility here, and Believe All Women is being tested here.
Well, Trump specifically is talking about Trump. Trump,
Right.
the people who've come forward.
Well, but not just Trump, you know, Brett Kavanaugh, et
Sure,
cetera.
but they are people. They have names. They're not unnamed sources. These are 3 unnamed sources that are friends of the woman, the ex-girlfriend. They also said, and there's pictures from that night. This was in a very crowded place. It was a really long line at the valet. You know, it was a public space. So it's interesting that 3 people who were not present, who were told supposedly by the woman that it had occurred, are the ones coming forward. Not the woman, not any other person who was there that night. And it's very convenient that it's coming up as we're very close to an election and they want to dismantle this beautiful image, the right-wing publication.
Well, I mean, it came out.
So the problem I have with this is Trump's administration was filled with anonymously sourced stories. I mean, on a weekly basis, an anonymous source says this about Donald Trump. An anonymous source says this about Donald Trump. And these people, I don't know about the Hill in particular, but people ran with it. What's going on, Taryn? So it's really weird that an accusation of somebody being hit, slapped, is being dismissed by a woman when, to Mel Dubb's point and to the gentleman's point, what happened to believe all women? She said, yeah, but she didn't come forward. So now she's trying to force the woman to come forward. In the legal system, there's a lot of times where people will stay anonymous. And the feds or the state will take over the charges just so she doesn't have to relive the events that happened. So her position is very strange coming from the left, in my opinion.
Now, the Kavanaugh stuff, again, which was so much longer ago, that came out right as he was about to become. Isn't it interesting? He's about to become a Supreme Court justice.
But that was a person with a name with evidence. Okay, politics.
Yeah, but
politics,
I mean, so was
it.
the person who accused Joe Biden, right? Tara Reade.
Yeah.
She was a person with a name.
And I would dispute the idea that there was evidence backing up Christine Blasey Ford's account of what supposedly happened, but
Christine Blasey Ford said she thinks Kavanaugh was in a room. She doesn't remember the room. She doesn't remember the location, but she thinks he was in a room with a bunch of guys 25, 35 years ago, and the media ran with that story 24/7. But this lady seems to be saying, yeah, but she had a name behind what she was saying. How many times? How many times did the media cover stories, anonymous sources, or a source who's close to the situation, or a source with direct information says this about Donald Trump? He turned around and he reached forward and he smacked the driver, and then he fought off 3 Secret Service agents because he didn't want to leave. We've had these stories before. And then when all those people who were in the car said, no, this didn't happen, they still ran with the story. But they went with a name who says she heard from somebody else who heard that this happened. Media had no issue running with that story. So her argument is really, really weak. And yeah, Tara, like, Joe Biden has accusers, several. He's got a weird situation with his own daughter and the diary. So it really is about how they're covering it that I have the issue with, because I don't know that this happened. And I say the same thing when something happens on the right. I wasn't there. I don't know what's going on, True Essence. I wasn't there. I can't say yes or no. I'm not going to jump in on the side just because it's somebody on the right or somebody on the left who's being accused. Like, that's not how I operate. It's just not.
That being said, I mean, even if we look at Trump, he's having to pay a multi-million-dollar judgment based, again, on one woman's word and no actual physical evidence, and a lot of actually contradictory details that put her account into question. So I think it's reasonable to say that the standards have fallen literally below the ground on whether or not we take allegations against conservatives or Republicans seriously. And in this case, I mean, do we really think that the people who were there in 2012 at Cannes knew who Doug Emhoff was?
Yeah, he was a well-known entertainment attorney. The Cannes Film Festival is an entertainment film festival. I'm pretty sure people knew who Doug Emhoff was at the time. He was very involved in California politics. You know, anybody who was around that, I'm sure, and they might come forward for all we know. All I'm saying is 3 unnamed sources that heard it by hearsay does not hold up in court. Whereas Trump's allegations went through a court process. You know, Brett Kavanaugh, he made it through, right? He made it through, and there was evidence provided.
So she has no issue with the accusations. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah, but he made it through. Not a big deal. He made it through. Like the left, the way they think is really interesting. I would say they need to study it, but I know they do.
And the person, the individual who's making these claims was there, even if it was claims from dozens of years ago. I think there's flaws in that as well. But this is something that just would not hold up in court. It's kind of embarrassing. It wouldn't even hold up in a newsroom, and that's why it went to the Daily Mail. If something else comes forward, then fine, let's have a conversation about it. Politics is politics. People do this. There's opposition research.
It does, yeah. I mean, because one of the individuals who's making this claim had a contemporaneous phone call from the victim, so that would give them some sort of credibility. No, I agree with you. It's not like a slam dunk, but it does count more than just I heard from somebody who heard from somebody. He had a call immediately following the event from the alleged victim.
Also, remember that the standard through the Me Too era that we were told by activists on this issue, a standard I thought made absolutely no sense, and I think we're all now kind of conceding that it makes no sense, was believe women unquestionably.
That's right.
When it should have been be respectful of and show kindness toward and take seriously and listen and don't dismiss the way not just the media but also like the legal system you treat women as hysterical.
So this is a great point. Mel Dubb said Cassidy never came out and said did he hit her. A third party reported the video. So according to this woman, if somebody else said that Diddy did this, it's not news. Well, it's still Diddy. It's still a serious accusation that warrants some form of investigation. So instead of dismissing it, she probably should say what I said, which was, you know, I don't know about these kinds of stories, but we need to reserve judgment until more information comes out. Instead, she's dismissing it. She's like, no news organization would pick this up. That's why it went to Daily Mail. It's like, lady, what do you really? So what if the woman does decide to come forward? Now you just dismissed everything she said. And what if it came out that it's 100% true? This is your approach? Again, we had a man with a hard drive and a laptop in his hand. It is full of information, and this same news media, again, I'm not speaking out of the hill in particular, but they'll dismiss something whether there's proof or not. They don't really care about that. But this is how they get out of having to actually deal with the story at hand.
That's totally wrong. But you obviously have to vet and have to have enough skepticism to know that in some cases these things can be wielded in bad faith. And also just that memory is not perfect. And that's 100%. True in this case, that's true in the Kavanaugh case, that's true in everything, because we remember things in ways that are you know, maximally beneficial to ourselves. That's just how the human brain works. So the standard, again, which activists insisted upon and got taken really seriously,
that's the crazy
was
part.
Believe all women, and that was.
But the woman did not come forward. This is a woman.
Well, these are other women
that weren't there, that supposedly got a phone call, and they won't be named. This is weak for journalism standards. You can have unnamed sources; they're not sources.
I think
unnamed sources are not sources, according to that woman, which I agree with, but then you can't cover half the stuff, more than half the stuff you guys covered around Trump. We had the picture of all the classified documents, supposedly, that were taken a picture of in Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. Where'd you hear from that? What's the source of that? How do you even know it was Mar-a-Lago? They assumed, because an anonymous source leaked it and said this is what it is. How do you know where that was? That could have been in my basement. They pick and choose. And this shows how bad the media is. It really does. We're literally trying to disqualify a gubernatorial candidate over unconfirmed claim that he had a porn account. Yeah, not just one. They said he had five 4 or 5 accounts all over the internet. No IP address. Like it's this is an email that he used. Okay, did he agree that that's an email he used? Like, there's the accusations are okay as long as it's somebody they want to target. It really is remarkable. It really is remarkable that what the news will run with. We'll just say that. I have an example of media lies. Let me pull that up, because this has been happening to you guys. I won't say me, but I'm not going to say you either. But people who watch this who don't follow politics that much, they play game. The media plays games, and I have a video showing how they play games, and I want you to pay attention to what they do, because I guarantee everyone in here has heard some of these stories, if not all of them, but none of them are true. So I found this. I didn't put this one together. I found this one, and I thought it was good enough to play.
Edited a video to make it appear as though Trump impatiently dumped a box of fish food into the water in Japan. The full video showed Trump had simply followed the lead of Japan's prime minister.
So you see how something so simple can be distorted and made into a big story? I don't know if you guys remember this. I remember this, and I'm like, huh, that's weird. Why is that even important? It was a slow news day, so they just made up a story. And they did this throughout his entire presidency, and ever since then.
In June 2017, NBC News reported that Russian President Putin said he had compromising information about Trump.
Everybody's heard this story. Everyone has heard this story, whether you were paying attention or not. Trump was colluding with Russians. They have compromising. They have pictures of him. All right. Well,
Actually,
what did he really say?
Putin said the opposite.
Do you have something damaging on our president?
Well, this is just another load of nonsense. Where would we get this information?
The New York Times and CNN shared a story with photos of immigrant children in cages.
Everybody heard this story. I talked about this one on my last live. I don't care who you are, you heard about kids in cages.
Turns out the photos were from 2014 during the Obama administration.
Didn't stop them from running it. They didn't care. It was an accusation. But this is what the media does. This is why it's really important that even when you're watching the news, you find other sources online that you can trust. That's what I'm trying to become. I'm biased, but I'm trying to become a source where you can say, you know what? Let me see what Speaks has to say about this. I'm curious. But you still got to go look this stuff up. They absolutely lied. And then the fact check will come out debunking left-wing stuff, which is so rare, because usually they just ride with their stories. How you doing, Vibe in my lane? The fact check will come out and they still ignore it. We're still hearing about police officers that died on January 6th. I had somebody come up here and say it. I'm arguing with people in chats who are insisting officers died on January 6th. Absolute lie. Been debunked. They recanted the story, but it took them months later. So nobody, if you Google it right now, it will say 4 officers were injured or 4 officers died on January 6th. No officers died on January 6th. They're attributing suicides after the fact to something they can't verify. But here you have them saying, yeah, but this story you can't verify. You don't have the person. This isn't the name. This isn't the person. Do you know any of those officers' names? Didn't matter then. Anyway.
In November 2019, Newsweek falsely reported that President Trump was spending Thanksgiving golfing in Florida. He was actually in Afghanistan serving dinner to U.S. troops.
Remember that story? I do. Because no one knew he was showing up there. You know why? Because they kept reporting he was golfing. Next thing you know, he's serving troops on Thanksgiving as the president of the United States. But they didn't run with the story. Then when they did, they said, oh, he's just doing that for a photo op. Dude, it's still Thanksgiving. He's still away from his family. He's still the most powerful man in the world, and he's still serving the troops. They spun it.
CBS aired a story in March of 2020, supposedly showing a New York hospital crowded with patients.
It's all hands on deck in
You remember
America's
this.
hospitals.
It was actually filed tape from Italy. A week later, CBS News mistakenly used the Italy video again.
It wasn't mistakenly. This is what they do. They know what they're. There's no way CBS News doesn't know what they're doing. They're not going to put something on the air like that. They're just not. It wasn't a mistake.
In May, the BBC and The Guardian reported because Trump wasn't wearing headsets, he didn't bother to listen to the translation of a speech by Italy's prime minister. But Trump was wearing his earpiece in his right ear, as always, said the White House. Newsweek reported Poland's first lady refused to shake Trump's hand, but later acknowledged she did.
Another lie. So all those stories you remember.
CNN edited a video to make it
You remember, or maybe you kind of remember, but that's an example of the games that the media plays. And it's frustrating for people like me who I have to sit there and try to convince somebody that what they saw is not true. You still hear some of this stuff to this day. And it's really hard to convince people that you didn't see the stories because it was all over the news. 4 officers died. Like, this is just what they do. So I have an example, and I'm not going to play this whole thing, but I have an example of what MSNBC is and what MSNBC does. And like, again, I'm not going to play the whole thing because it becomes clear after a while what's really happening.
Amid a rise in anti-Semitism across the United States, Donald Trump echoed the dangerous language of infamous fascist leaders.
The most powerful images are not of Hitler, are not of Saddam Hussein. The most powerful images are of the hypocrites surrounding him, praying that this guy's his savior. The image of Donald Trump as Jesus Christ being hung on the cross.
Yes, the images of Trump are ominous and important, but it does paint the darkness of putting him side by side of other dictators, Adolf Hitler, Saddam Hussein, you can go on and on, and that's where we have to put him. People truly don't understand what absolute power for Donald Trump will mean. It's not a stretch. You could end up in jail. That's what dictators do. They take their political opponents and they put them in jail. We will no longer have a vote.
He's already tried it once. I mean, he called me a murderer and was saying I should be thrown in jail for murder.
And, when people say it's a stretch to put him next to Adolf Hitler or next to Mussolini,
it's not a stretch, apparently.
What do we know he's capable of doing as an absolute leader in power? And I will tell everybody who's thinking twice, if you want to vote more than one more time, you need to vote for Joe Biden because your vote will not matter anymore. You give that up. We will no longer be a free society. We take that for granted. We are not catastrophizing. The darkness is that dark.
We have to crush MAGA extremism forever.
Benito Mussolini was the original fascist, Il Duce, ruling Italy from 1922 to 1943, more than 20 years. And during that time, he didn't exactly hide his authoritarian agenda. As head of a coalition government back in the 1920s, he even said, quote, "I must take upon myself the task of governing the Italian nation from 10 to 15 years longer. It is necessary. My successor is not yet born." And at the time, many may have thought the Italian leader was, joking. But the joke was on them, because that's exactly what he did. The joke was also on the Brits and the Americans.
So anyone who thinks that it's funny what Trump does, well, they just don't understand the gravity. Look at the jokes about tyrants. Like, actually, after this, I'm going to play some of Trump's jokes because I think they're all funny. Almost all of them. I think they're funny.
Americans who for years lampooned Mussolini in comic books and cartoons as a clown and a buffoon. That was
Dick Cheney was the devil incarnate. They said that man was the most evil man. He's bloodthirsty. He started all the wars. He's responsible. All the blood in the Middle East is on him. And now they're saying, hey, Dick Cheney just endorsed Kamala. All of a sudden, that's a good endorsement to have. Instead of saying, you know what, maybe we should leave this one out. Nope, that's a good endorsement to have. And Bush, yep, Bush. They talked about that, man. And I actually, he was a good guy, very good guy. The problem with him is how weak he was. Now I know why he was weak, which is why I no longer respect him. He was weak because they were all in the same little group. He had no issues with the stuff they were saying about him because he knew they didn't mean it. Because they're either related or they're making money together. It's what they do. It's unbelievable.
Their approach to the Italian fascist dictator in the making. He's joking, or he is a joke. Well, how did that work out for Italy and Europe during World War II?
How did that work out when everyone died? They're so not serious. That's why I highlighted Mel's comment about them trying to look serious. It's hilarious. I'm going to go ahead and play. Let's see. I have one. I titled it Trump Gangster Moments. Hold on. Before I play that, let me read.
What's the difference?
And this has some cursing, just so you guys know. Mel said, let me read down here. Prediction, Bush will endorse Harris. Yeah, I have. You've said it, and I believe it 100%. That's why I've never disputed it or even tried to argue it. He's going to show weakness. Yeah, I agree. He may stay out of it, but they hate Trump so bad for what he did to his brother and his father. I think they're going to endorse him. But this is Trump. And I got this from Hustle Mind on TikTok. I didn't make this one. This is just great.
What's the difference between a wet raccoon and Donald J. Trump's hair?
There's cursing.
A wet raccoon doesn't have $7 billion fucking dollars in the bank. Involved. Excuse me. My turn. You said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated
so sad.
Either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. And your father was never considered smart. He was never considered a good senator. He was only a good vice president because he understood how to kiss Barack Obama's ass. Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
You
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person. Don't be rude. I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news. If I were running The View, I'd fire Rosie. I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Megyn Kelly has come a long way because she was nasty in that debate. And she got cast away. She tried to go, she left Fox and she went to NBC, and then that didn't work out because she said something that they didn't like, even though it really wasn't racist. She was talking about people dressing up as white people dressing up as black people. So she got cast away from there. Now she's kind of come back. I like what she says now, but I don't try. She's not coming near me. I don't allow snakes to get close to me. So she's really has come around, especially on Trump. But I think she knows where the money is, and that's what she'll push.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail. She's shocked that I picked her. It's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do. She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
His visceral response to attack people on their appearance, short, tall, fat, ugly. My goodness, that happened in junior high. Are we not way above that? Would we not all be worried to have someone like that in charge of the nuclear arsenal?
Mr. Trump?
I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there.
So I got that from Hustle Minded with another D. Trump's the GOAT. Uncle L, what's going on? L Boogie, what's up? Yeah, I'll drop the link because I don't have that many more videos. I just wanted to go over that topic. But yeah, when he's gangster, and he's got to come back for everything. This is really why they hate him so much, because he says things that they don't like. That's it. Mean tweets. I've never heard so many complaints from the left about anything as much as I've heard them complain when he was tweeting, and how they celebrated when he was kicked off of Twitter. And it wasn't even a free speech thing. They just didn't want him to tweet. They're insane. These people are insane.
And so I couldn't help but think of Il Duce when I heard this from Donald Trump earlier this month.
Couldn't help.
Under no circumstances, you are promising America tonight, you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
what?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border, and I want to drill.
And I couldn't help but think of Mussolini again.
You've covered the presidency for a very long time. This concept that they've created of essentially unitary president who cannot be stopped by Congress or anyone in the executive branch. What do you make of it?
It's ridiculous. There is no such thing. This is an invention. If we brought James Madison back, who did much to invent the system that we're talking about, his whole thing was balance of power, checks and balances between three branches, co-equal, a president, a Supreme Court, a Congress. And so what we've got now is, and he's telling us 16 months before the next presidential election, Donald Trump is the first person, the only person in all of American history who has said, if you elect me, my intention is to establish, just as you're saying, Joy, a presidential dictatorship. Telling you, the American people, your family, everyone you know, your friends.
That's great. She does have his hair. Sorry.
Others, every private aspect of your life. If you're running a business, there's not going to be an independent Federal Trade Commission. Donald Trump will tell your business what to do. If you're part of a media organization, as we are, there will not be, for instance, an independent Federal Communications Commission.
It's just making stuff up.
Here's something on MSNBC or another network who doesn't like something he reads in the New York Times, which is probably pretty likely. He can do a lot to have, what we do, what all of us do, stilled, and perhaps even those organizations abolished. We've never seen anything like this in American history. All I'm saying to our friends who are watching us tonight, take this very seriously. Don't think this is a joke.
Give me your response to what Donald Trump is doing.
I don't have to keep playing it. I have like 4 more minutes left of this nonsense. But you see how they move. That was the point of that. I want to talk about this. This is the most important story of the day. Which, again, it's obvious, but if you know anyone who watches MSNBC, they do not know that they're watching fake news. They don't. They will quote, and I have some in my family. They watch it all day, and they believe what they're hearing. It's pretty incredible. Taryn.
Delivering these messages now, I think she keeps getting better.
Kamala Harris is telling the truth. The hate campaign against Kamala Harris has begun.
Hold on. I'm almost insulted that you didn't think I've seen this. But yeah, that's what this is. That's what I'm going over right now.
They purposefully pronounce her name wrong.
But as a black woman, the product of a mixed marriage, she's an inspiration.
I don't know, Nicole, vote for her or don't vote for her, but isn't it great to just have a positive conversation right now?
Last week, we saw Vice President Kamala Harris's first mainstream media solo interview of her presidential run with MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle. Many people were stating how much of a softball interview it was. Here's a clip from that.
I just want to ask you yes or no. At any point in your life, have you served 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, working at a McDonald's. Yes or no? That's it.
I have.
Okay.
That's the question she wanted to ask a presidential candidate who has all this stuff going on. Now, I still have this interview, and I actually have my. I need to post this. I have this interview. I'm just going to release it in 2 parts. I said this in my last live. That interview was so absurd, but what ended up happening is the day I was going to put that out, all the smoke came out with an almost as bad interview. So I'm going to release this one in 2 parts. But yeah, that interview was so scripted, so bad. And you see, they're finishing each other's sentences.
With that, OMG decided to look into MSNBC and their cozy relationship with the vice president.
Phenomenal.
Meet Basil Hamden, a writer and producer for MSNBC's weekend show, Iman. Hamden's background includes working at the Huffington Post as a news director and being the executive producer for Michael Moore. Basil met our OMG American Swiper on the dating app Bumble and divulged about his job to our undercover journalist.
Remind me where you work.
Right now, I'm working at MSNBC.
What do you do? What's your title?
Writer, producer. So
These guys. You guys remember the one where I had a CIA agent do this? Meet some random woman on the internet and then tell all their story? Like they're telling secrets. They're telling something. This is the same thing. So you meet somebody thinking you're going to be friends, and you start telling. It's pretty incredible that it used to be Project Veritas. They're still out, but O'Keefe separated from them. So now it's OMG, O'Keefe Media Group. I don't understand how this works, but clearly it works. They did this with abortion. They got people to admit that they were selling aborted baby body parts. And I don't understand. This is crazy. This is crazy.
a live news show on the weekends.
Okay, what is it called?
Amen. Yeah,
I've heard of that.
Basil Hamden, producer at MSNBC, states that MSNBC is helping the Kamala Harris campaign, stating they are, quote, amplifying her message. Basil also reveals that, quote, what her message of the day is their MSNBC's message of the day.
So do you feel like MSNBC is doing enough to help the Harris campaign?
I mean, they're doing all they can.
Which is what? What have they done to help the Harris campaign?
Amplify her message. What her message of the day is their message of the day.
Our OMG American Swiper questioned Basil Hamden about MSNBC's close relationship to the Democratic...
What? Gender reverse? What do you mean? I thought it was just another dating app. Gender reverse. Hold on. Now you got me looking up stuff. Gender reverse. You know what? I'm almost done. Gender reverse. What are you talking about? You got me looking stuff up. Continue. Make your next move. We're not just for dating. Yeah, I thought it was a friend app. I don't know nothing about no gender reversal stuff. That's really weird. So this is what I'm looking at. I just pulled this up when you said that. We're not just for dating. Meet someone. So they have a dating section and they have a friend section, a career section. What is this nonsense? I don't know. I've heard of it. I just thought, like I said, I thought it was just like a match type of thing. She met her husband. Oh, wait. Whoa. Oh, bridesmaid. Okay. Yeah, I don't know any, man. I've been married a long time. I don't know anything about any of this stuff. The dating app for feminists. Okay. All right. Sorry. Let me I don't know anything about that. All right, let's go back to playing this.
Hamden revealed that MSNBC is the Democratic Party's mouthpiece and is doing anything to get Kamala elected. Hamden says this news network is indistinguishable from the Democratic Party.
What you were saying earlier, that the MSNBC aligns too closely with the Democratic Party line.
Yeah, so they're often saying the same exact things. The type of people who work in Democratic politics and in the campaign are a lot of the same type of people that would appear on air on MSNBC. It hammers home the point that I'm making, that this news network is indistinguishable from the party.
Are they just the Democratic Party's mouthpiece?
Exactly.
MSNBC is the Democratic Party's mouthpiece.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So is MSNBC just like doing whatever it takes to get Kamala elected?
Yes. Yes.
Even if there are like clear contradictions that would potentially alienate some of the viewers?
Yes, but unfortunately...
That's bad journalism, right?
It is, but unfortunately, they've made their viewers dumber over the years.
If you know someone who watches MSNBC, not to my knowledge, it hasn't, Case. How you doing, by the way? Did you hear what he just said? That they've made their viewers dumber. He just insulted their whole base, and he works for MSNBC. So I'm sure he's going to get fired. Positive. How you doing, CX? He's going to get fired. But that doesn't change what he's saying. And that's their way out of everything, if you really pay attention. Their way out of everything is to just say, oh, well, we fired him. And let me go back just a little bit. This is what MSNBC thinks of their own viewership.
Their viewers dumber over the years. It is, but unfortunately, they've made their viewers dumber over the years. Fortunately, they're not brainwashing people with racist propaganda like Fox, but particularly post-Trump, from Trump on, they've really narrowed their audience's mind to the point where even when guests go on their show to criticize Democrats, people get mad at the guests.
It begs the question, why isn't MSNBC's motto, the network indistinguishable from the Democratic Party? Per Basil Hamden, MSNBC is nothing more than a network that is solely based on helping the Democratic candidate, Kamala Harris. Just this week, MSNBC panelist Eddie Gw stated Kamala Harris has to win, and if she doesn't, our young children in America will have the threat of being bombed at school because of Donald Trump.
We got to come out and try to figure out how to turn out in large historic numbers, because we got to keep this troglodyte out of office. Because if he comes in, our babies are going to be in danger. Because remember, those young children are going to grow up with the memory of having to not go to school for the threat of bombs, when she needs to bust him in his mouth. I'm saying it like that because he's dangerous. He's dangerous to particular people.
These are very peculiar people that are at MSNBC. Basil Hamden, producer at MSNBC, dives even further into how MSNBC hosts and guests are so in sync, they will finish each other's sentences.
Do you feel like MSNBC doesn't necessarily tell the truth?
I think they do from their perspective, yeah. They do.
But from like an objective standpoint.
It's very partisan Democrat. Their problem, and I think they would have a bigger audience, it would be if they were less tied to the Democratic Party itself. They should be progressive. They should tell the truth from a progressive perspective, but they shouldn't be tied to a political party.
How are they currently tied to the Democratic Party?
They just are way too cozy with Democratic politicians.
How? I can't tell.
If you watch an interview with
How does he not know what she's doing? Like, this dude's got no discernment. You asked me 2 questions. I'm thinking, why is this person? This is the second question you asked me. How does he not feel something wrong?
Democratic politicians, they just finish each other's sentences. The anchor and the politician are just in total agreement about everything.
While investigating subjects, our OMG journalists always find that the subjects we investigate like to criticize or demean the very people they work for or entertain. Basil Hamden is no exception. Basil calls MSNBC viewers brainwashed and states that MSNBC made their viewers dumber over the years. Doesn't sound like they believe in their product.
They've made their viewers dumber over the years. Viewers get mad at the guests or the hosts if the hosts were to criticize Democrats.
Because they're so brainwashed
Yes.
into thinking that the Democratic Party can do no wrong.
Not that they can't do any wrong. It's maybe they can do wrong. I just don't want to hear about it. Don't say it out loud, because if you say it out loud, it helps Trump. I think brainwashing and dumbing down,
It's bad.
aggressive,
I get it.
helps Trump.
So when she, hold on, let me shut that off. So you have a man admitting everything that I've said. I literally start off my lives denouncing them. I literally start off every live denouncing them because I know this is what they do. But I guarantee there's somebody in your family who does not know that this is what they do. Guaranteed. It's phenomenal to watch, but I don't know if he's a cuck. I don't know if he's thinking with the wrong head. He doesn't seem straight to me. I could be wrong. I don't know. I find it interesting. We'll say that. I find it very interesting that somebody can spill everything like that, and this always happens. They all get caught this way. I think they're so arrogant and narcissistic that I don't know. I don't understand it. I really don't. I know Mel said he wanted to come up and explain something about George Bush, and I have time. He's definitely a weirdo case. I'm definitely good. I want to look into the Bumble app also. Operation Mockingbird, yeah, absolutely. That's literally where PSYOPs came from. That's where Operation Mockingbird is, where the term conspiracy theorist came from. I don't know if you know that. They made that phrase up to shame people out of looking into stories for the government and not question the government. And that program, as far as I know, still has not been defunded or canceled. So if you look it up, let me look that up. That's where the phrase, actually, I'll wait on that. That's where the phrase conspiracy theorist came from. But look at this. So somebody asked me, I think it was Kay's, asked if that story had gone viral. Not only has it not gone viral, Hindu Times, Turkey Today, Gator Country, somebody on Twitter, another person on Twitter, Megyn Kelly. This is not being carried. That's it. AR15.com. Like, you can't get much more right wing than that. But we need to examine our own biases. 2014, 2 days ago. No, this came out today. These are the only news stories on it. Let's try. What else should I type in? MSNB. I mean, it can't be any clearer. MSNBC producer admits biases. I don't know what else to type in. Here we go. O'Keefe. Yes, that's what I mean. So it's the same one. Hinduism Times or Hindustan Times, Federalist. Social media. Like, this should be the whole first page. You sure don't see MSNBC talking about it. So this is the media. This is our media. This is what our media does. I Googled it. I typed it. It can't be clearer. Come on. MSNBC producer O'Keefe. Like, what else should come up there? What's going on, man? How you doing, sir?
Doing good, brother. That's the same media that Ricky Smiley told us is a trusted media that we should listen to, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a this weekend. I'm gonna go live to talk about Ricky Smiley's.
Nice. What day?
Probably on Saturday. Probably Saturday evening. So Saturday evening or Sunday morning.
All right. Let me know.
Well, Yeah,
I'm gonna try to
talking
be.
that
I'll try to
nonsense.
come up on that one. I want to talk about that too.
Okay, but I got smoke for Taryn the Black because
Come on up,
Taryn
Aaron.
Taryn should know by now that if I say it, 90% chance is gonna happen. The only reason why Taryn's saying George Bush is not going to endorse her is because George Bush is a Texas boy. That's
Hey,
why.
I'm here in Texas too. Listen, we have an airport named after his father. Everyone loves the Bushes here, but that does not mean we're cool with how he's been moving since Obama's second term. Is that when he really got cozy with Michelle? Michael? Oh, sorry, Michelle.
Mitchell. I mean, yeah, Michelle. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, I'll explain it about why
He's at work.
I'm gonna predict what's gonna happen. So they're saving George W. Bush closer towards the end, and they're going to have this either a press conference or he's going to just pop out at one of her campaign events, and he's going to use the term existential threat to democracy. And in times of this, I'm a proud Republican, but we need to support Kamala Harris. And the reason why is, Odom, you just said it perfectly. I realize that these people have a shared vested interest of maintaining relevance and power. Their families have to stay in this relevancy of power. That's the only reason why Jeb Bush thought that he was qualified to run for president, to stay in a relevance of power because of the family's sake. That's why Hillary Clinton thought that she was going to run for president, because of the family's sake and relevance of power. So in George W. Bush's mind, Donald Trump usurps that, because I already saw this tribute to Jimmy Carter where they said the president's tribute, give a tribute to Jimmy Carter. It was Bush, Obama, and Clinton. They didn't put Trump up in there.
Go along, get along, gang.
So the fact that I know that they already are gearing that and tributing that, and then the last prediction I'm going to have is this. One of the very last things that Jimmy Carter is going to do before he dies is vote for Kamala Harris.
Oh, Jesus.
And they are going to blow that up. They're going to show him being wheeled in there, going to the poll to serve his civic duty to support Kamala Harris. The problem is people don't give a shit. With respect to Jimmy Carter, who's lived to be 100 years old, but nobody gives a shit.
I thought he passed away.
No, he's still alive.
I thought he just passed away.
No, he just celebrated his 100th birthday. Yeah, he's
that's what it was. That's what I knew. I saw him in the news. I just assumed.
Yeah, but this is
not a nice assumption.
This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. You can go back and play this, and you can be like, Mel was right again about this. So they're going to do that, and the problem is this: the Democrats have this false sense that Republicans are just as loyal to the name as they are, because the fact of the matter is, the reason why Liz Cheney goes out and supports Kamala Harris is not because she believes Kamala Harris is the best candidate. It's because she's hurt that Donald Trump supported her primary opponent and she got booted out. Dick Cheney was Hitler. They called him Hitler. They called him the devil. They called him all sorts of nefarious evil names. And she turned around and now she's going to support. Same thing with John McCain. I lost family members over John McCain because I supported him instead of Barack Obama. So imagine my surprise when his family members now make it seem like all these people who voted for him, who now vote for Donald Trump, are somehow crazy or lunatics.
Yep.
But that was my prediction about Bush and Jimmy Carter. So what do you got on that? What do you think about that? You think I'm right or wrong?
I think you're right, but I think they think that it's important. But Oliver Green, Houston IAH is George Bush Sr.'s airport here in Houston. That's their airport. It's literally George Bush Airport. They think, to your point, this is why they're so obsessed with celebrities. They think those names matter when somebody's going out to vote. And really, all it is, an endorsement is nothing more than saying, this is my preference. They put a lot of weight in celebrity endorsements. I just think, I don't know. I would not put it past George W. Bush to do that, because Trump single-handedly ended their dynasty. Jeb was supposed to be president, and Trump single-handedly destroyed him. and that was it. And I'm like, huh, this is interesting. And ever since then, pretty much the entire right-wing establishment has sided with whoever was on the left. They didn't care. I believe that they're so insane that if Bernie Sanders were the candidate, they would be voting for Bernie.
Yeah.
That's how crazy they are and how much they hate Donald Trump, which draws a lot more people to him, including people on the left.
I'm gonna tell you how bad Donald Trump ruined Jeb Bush.
That's so bad.
Jeb Bush, typically when someone's a governor down here in Florida, they elevate up to the senator's position. It traditionally happens. It typically happens. Jeb Bush would probably never get more than 20% of the vote if he ever ran for Senate here in Florida. No one wants him. Donald Trump exposed all of that. Donald Trump was bold enough to call Dick Cheney out and George W. Bush about the failure in Iraq.
Yep. Not many people on the right were willing to say that out loud, even though people started seeing it for what it was. They would call them neocons, but they wouldn't say names. And that's another reason why Liz Cheney hates his guts.
Yeah, facts. It's not about who's the better person for the country. It's the fact that she's a part of that product that was exposed in the right wing that needed to be outed. Those people don't exist no more. John Bolton doesn't exist anymore in this new age conservative Republicans. Republicans want people. Donald Trump will fire you. You know what I mean?
Found that out.
so there's no loyalty.
If you remember when he hired Bolton, the left went crazy. He's a war hawk. He's a war hawk. And Trump said, yeah, we don't agree on this. I just like to hear that perspective. But then when he fired him, you see John Bolton on all their news channels. It's like, wait a minute. You guys were just calling him a war hawk. This is what they do. They did it with, to your point, Cheney. They did it with Bush, McCain. And they did it with a guy like Bolton, who a lot of people don't know who he is, but Trump brought him in to advise him. But he really is hawkish on war. But as soon as he fired him, the left took his side. That's how much they hate Donald Trump. It's really wild to watch.
Yeah, and it's sad because you look at him, and then somebody like a Dick Cheney or John McCain. I can remember. And this is like a lot of the black family members and all, probably in everybody's family talking about, they would talk about this man's arm, about how he had that disability in his arm. They would talk about his disability. They would make fun of him. And then when he went up against Trump and he died, he's a war hero. Yeah. He should be honored. All these things people think that we forgot about. I remember how nasty people were about Dick Cheney.
They were nasty
about Dick Cheney.
They literally said he was the one running the country because Bush is too dumb and he's the mastermind and he's evil. He was the equivalent to Adolf. And that's just what it was. And with McCain was really interesting because he had damage from the beatings that he was taking when he was a POW. They made fun of that. Like they literally were saying, look at him, look how evil he looks. They weren't just talking about his arm like they did Bob Dole. I don't know if you're old enough to remember what they did.
Yeah, I remember them making fun of Bob Dole.
Same thing. These guys were war heroes, and they humiliated them on the international stage. But then as soon as they're gone, or if they agree with them on anything, all of a sudden they celebrate it. And Trump did something really, really smart with McCain because Kamala brought him up during the debate, and he said, "Well, what are you talking about? He's the one who did the thumbs down when Trump was trying to beat the Affordable Care Act, but he was fighting it the whole time. The only reason he did that was because he hated Trump.
Because he hated Donald Trump.
That's how much he went against Mr. Maverick. He went against his entire political history." And voted for something he did not like and he ran against just because he hated Trump.
Do you know what one of my biggest regrets ever politically was?
What's that?
Voting for John McCain. I should have voted for Barack Obama. I should have gave that brother a chance, or whatever he is. I should have gave him a chance in 2008 because for John McCain to turn around and say the very people who voted for him, most of them voted for Trump, to call them Trump crazes and all this other stuff, and his kids are now running around anybody that'll give them any time and attention. And now his son too. And
I haven't seen his son say anything.
Yeah, his son is endorsing Kamala Harris. He's a military veteran endorsing Kamala Harris. So just it really sickens me that people sacrifice so much, especially Black people who voted for George W. Bush, voted for John McCain, voted for Mitt Romney, and these same snake in the grasses don't have the decency to stand on the principles that we thought that they had.
Romney is the only one I did not vote for because of how weak he was and how he essentially conceded that second debate. He was really, really bad, and I voted everything but president on in that election. It was horrible watching somebody be so weak. And then it turned out that he was as spineless as I thought he was. But I voted for McCain because I knew what Obama was, and it is what it is.
You was right. Yeah. But at the same time, you was wrong about McCain because you didn't know what he was. So.
And that's why I understand when people say, I don't like only having two options, but there is always other candidates to vote for. My thing to that, every time I hear that, it drives me crazy. But still vote for everything else. Just don't vote for the president election. Just stay out of it. Yeah. I hate when people say, I don't vote. I'm not. Okay, well, then you can't complain. But you don't have to. You could still vote senators. You could still vote local. You could still vote all that stuff. But when people just don't vote at all, it's like, all right, well, you relinquish your right to complain to me. You can still complain, just not to me. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, and to Terrence's point, it would be risky for George Prescott Bush, but then Prescott Bush has already shown himself to be one of those extreme moderates who's living off of his family's name as well. I would say
I don't know anything about him.
Well, I think he's a congressman down there in Texas, but or attorney general, something like that. But I would say his dad hurt his reputation more than anybody else, and that's one of Jeb Bush's sons. So I think it's Jeb Bush's son, one of his sons. But I think his dad hurt his reputation more than anything else. Like I said, he is not respected down here.
None of them are respected here. So to your point, I think Trump just exposed what they really are, and that fake diplomatic approach that they took to their debate. It's all fake. And he's like, this is fake. I'm not doing this. I'm not playing this game. And he just started roasting them. Even Rand Paul. I like Rand Paul. I really do.
Yeah.
But they had this fake decorum that wasn't real. And if it was real, it's because they're making money with each other. It was like you couldn't be further from the positions that these other people took. That's why I was like, why are they doing this? You can't call somebody Adolf and then shake their hand. Like, I never understood that.
Yeah,
and that's one thing that drove me crazy about George W. Bush. He didn't care that people were calling him these names. I'm like, listen, I'm not saying fist fight, but to go shake their hand and compliment their wife, like, what are you doing, man?
There were politicians I remember in like the Tom Joyner Morning Show and people like that. I remember when Dick Cheney had his heart attack. These people were joking about it. They laughed. People I knew said that they wish he had died.
I was in Chicago. Maybe I wasn't in Chicago. No, I wasn't in Chicago. I was in California, and people were praying. Like supposed faithful Christians were praying that he did not get the heart. It's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
When George W. Bush had the shoe thrown at him, I remember an elderly lady said, they wished that the dude had a rock instead to hit this man. And
that was actually pretty. He slipped that pretty smooth, though.
But these people are the same folks now praising George W. Bush or praising Mitt Romney and praising Dick Cheney because these men have cowered themselves to, I guess, a system that Donald Trump exposed.
Yeah, and it's actually worse than them praising the same person who was praying that Trump or that Cheney didn't make it, or that the shoe was a rock. Those are the same ones who now criticize Trump for his moral shortcomings. It's like, wait a minute, you have no right. You can't bring up his morality. Like, what are you people doing? You're the same one. Like, it's really just, I've always watched it in awe that they can say some of the stuff that they say. I'm like, huh.
Listen,
You can't argue morality with me. Don't even bring it up.
I got an uncle. We got into it heated. And at the time I never said, hey, I'm voting for Donald Trump. Now I'm saying it, F those people. But he got into it with me so bad. And I remember this was the same uncle who would walk around when I was around, and he'd hold his arm crouching, like pretending to be John McCain, and joking about it. And you want to give a morality speech about Donald Trump?
And then they pick the worst examples to grab them by the, like, it's like, what are you doing, dude? Come on. You don't know anybody who talks like that. You've never talked like that. It's just, yeah, but he's the president. And that weird celebrity worship thing. He's still my employee. That's how I've always answered that. How you doing, Amber C? Mike Levin, what's going on? Yeah, that Katrina thing hurt him. Although I don't know what more he could have done with Katrina. I think there were some local issues going on there. But no, I respect that. I respect that you never.
Well, that'll be interesting if people are outraged about Katrina, but then they're okay with Kamala giving people $750.
$750, baby. What? What? You know how many cases of water? So bad.
Listen,
bad.
Trump took care of us down here after Hurricane Irma. He took care of Florida. Ian, it didn't necessarily apply to me so much, but down with Irma, Trump was down here. They had trucks. They did everything. Boom, boom, boom. Ian, it was the same thing. No, it was not. Now that I think about it, and because Biden was the president, Biden came and visited, but it was still pretty rough down here, So, but oh man, now I think about it,
they mocked Trump for when he went to Puerto Rico.
Yeah. And they caught him throwing stuff. But Trump also gave them a whole lot more stuff. Them Puerto Ricans didn't care about that.
Nope.
They weren't mad.
He was bringing pallets of water, Trump water. They were complaining because it was Trump water. They just find anything. Let's see. He said, I had stripper homegirls trying to lecture someone. And let me pull that. But yeah, no, it's true. They will find anything to hate this guy, and I'm like, as soon as all you got to do to me is bring up fetus, and you cannot argue morality with me. You just can't.
Yeah, and the same people who will say, "Well, I ain't voting for a felon," would gladly let a felon put a baby up in them.
Absolutely.
Or sleep on their couch.
And I just really care about it. That's a good talking point because they're in their eyes. People on the right are Christians. They're supposedly however they view them. They try to use that against us as if they have standing. You don't have standing. You can't bring this up with me. Now, if it's a Catholic priest that I'm speaking with, or if I'm speaking with a pastor, okay, we can talk about that. We can have that discussion. But I can't have somebody who is not only proud to be atheist, but tried to get rid of prayer out of schools and off of football fields and stuff like that. You can't talk to me about faith. Like, are you kidding me? It's insulting when they do that because they're just trying to point out hypocrisies.
Yeah, and that's the same people who will say we need to keep prayer in school, because I hear this a lot from the black churches and the black elders say we need to keep prayer in school, but they keep electing politicians and supporting politicians who don't even believe in God.
And that's the part that's really weird to me, that it's almost as if they know it but don't want to admit it. Or do they really know it? It's really, I don't know. I don't understand that. I really don't. Because they'll say the same thing about the alphabet community. They'll say stuff about them. It's like, you're the one who just had a Democrat in here last week. Like, why are we even having this conversation? You lose standing with me on certain things. And it is. I believe it's willful ignorance case.
No, well, and that's just the thing where, I really am so glad that if nothing else, you can say Donald Trump is a good person, a bad person, in between person. What he did was he exposed the corrupt nature of the political schemes that we see in Washington, D.C. How somebody like a Bernie Sanders could never have any type of willful career in his entire life. But this man is now worth over $7 million. And Barack Obama was worth $500,000 after he wrote his book, before he became president. Now this dude's worth over $100 million.
I put up a slide with Kamala and Joe Biden just from when they got elected. She went from like 6 to 25, and he went from, I don't remember what the numbers were, but that doesn't happen. That can't happen. Phoenix Rising actually made a really good point. She said the strippers can speak up on the advantages of tax-free tips. Absolutely.
I don't think those strippers report their tips.
Hey, but now they definitely don't have to. So it's legal now, and they can include it in their income. And then this is a really, really, really good point that's been made for a long time that I don't think people really pay attention to. Mike Levin said, Republicans think that Democrats are wrong. Democrats think Republicans are evil.
Facts.
And that's how they approach every conversation.
Facts.
Unless the Republican says, I agree with you, then all of a sudden they're a saint.
Facts. To this day, Democrats will call Richard Nixon this evil man with Watergate, when the fact remains Watergate was very irrelevant to the accomplishments that Nixon did in office, and that's why he would have overwhelmingly won.
I was just going to say, he was extremely popular.
Extremely popular.
With everyone.
He ended Vietnam. He was an advocate for civil rights in the 50s, as a vice president. And there was so many other things that he addressed. He fixed the relationship between the United States and China. So, all of these different things. But back to Ike Turner Emhoff though. So
Mr. Keeney, how you doing?
It's gonna be salute, Mr. Keeney. It's gonna be interesting, like I said before, when you watch these people in this whole Me Too narrative or believe all women. Because we did not have, like I said to you in the chat, we didn't have video, we didn't have a first person account about Cassidy getting beat up by Diddy. We just believed her. Nobody knows what happened in Eagle, Colorado with Kobe Bryant, but we still have mostly white, privileged, progressive women in their mid-30s and 40s praising the fact that this man died in a helicopter crash.
Wild.
Okay? Wild, right?
Evil.
So, and so we still have people believing that Bill Cosby did in fact do all the stuff. I'm not saying he did or he didn't, but it's just the fact that how can we be selective when it comes to selective to Tara Reid, selective to this woman, this woman who was allegedly assaulted by Doug Emhoff. The new face of masculinity, the adulterous, woman beater that he is. Allegedly, I think I snapped.
I had a video of CNN making fun of him because of it said he's not exactly the most masculine person or something along those lines.
I hope it won't Van Jones.
No. It was a white dude on CNN. Okay. I can't find it. I must have put it on my hard drive already. I delete stuff off of here and put it on the hard drive. But he's like, look, he's not the most masculine fella in the world. Like, what's going on, Tyra?
Van Jones and Don Lemon giving him a lecture on masculinity.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, Don Lemon. Anyway, that whole situation, I just immediately start thinking of all the right wing stuff that it's like, wait a minute. You guys didn't have any sources for the supposed pictures that of Trump, the urinating, like all that stuff that they were saying about him. There was nothing, zero, not even. It was all anonymous, zero sources. But that was okay, apparently.
But I got to stand on the whole thing with Mark Robinson, and I've shared with you before. I said I'm really disappointed about the Republicans. I really feel like it's a shame where you really can have CNN allegedly pull up an account linked to this man that's unverified, no IP address or anything like that.
That's what I said earlier.
And people so now I think we have to look at the racial element. I do believe it's too easy for people, whether it be a Republican or Democrat, Democrats will use it as an opportunity. Republicans will use it as a way to be fearful, because this is not the first time I saw this, because they did it with Herschel Walker as well. Should we withdraw our support because of an allegation? When Donald Trump has been alleged of something and Republicans stayed with him, Jim Jordan was alleged to have groomed his former wrestlers and they stuck by him. Matt Gaetz, God knows all the stuff he's been accused of down here in Florida.
They've been trying to end that man for a long time.
And people still stood by him. But that's my point. But it was like Mark Robinson, this, we don't know if we need to. And now this brother's going to lose North Carolina because the Republicans were not strong enough to stand with him.
That's why I'm not Republican. They've always been weak like this. They've always been this way. They never stand up for the people who they should stand up for. They only stand up for the ones who they think will be an advantage to them. Even when they see somebody being done wrong, like Northam literally had either the KKK hat or he was in blackface. One of the two. They never determined which one. And the left did not leave his side. Somebody on the left had to have been surfing porn websites to find the accusations that they're making against this guy.
I was in Virginia.
I'm like, how do they know?
There were Negroes out there defending this man. Nobody had the courage to say he should have resigned. Do you even know, y'all, because you're not from Virginia, do you know it was all over the state news? This man attempted that he wasn't proved that he wasn't racist. Do you know what he did? And it was televised. Do you know what he did? He moonwalked.
Oh yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
I shit you not.
Yep.
And those preachers chuckled and laughed and they tap danced and they shuck and they jived for him.
They stand by theirs. Now, every now and then there's one that they'll have to cast out, but then they'll let them back in. And I'm sure I could see the conversation. Hey, you got to go, but don't worry. The memory's short. We'll bring it back in a year or two. And that's what they do. They usually put them on TV, get them likable on TV, and then bring them right back into politics.
You mean like Don Lemon?
There you go.
CNN said you had to go for what you said about Nikki Haley, but don't worry, you'll be back. And he's back. Jeffrey Toobin.
Oh gosh, that was actually pretty funny because they made him tell the story when he came back. That was so gross. I'm like, oh, but at least he had to deal with that. That's like, come on, you talk about repenting.
Yeah, so
they made him announce to the world what he did. That was humiliating, and I actually had no issue with them bringing him back because if you're able to get on TV and say that,
he got off on TV.
Oh, no. I'm talking about when he came back. All
right, but hey, salute to you, brother. Thanks for letting me pop up, man.
Yes, sir,
but Taryn, I'm telling you right now, don't you be surprised when George W. Bush comes out there giving candy to Kamala and shaking her and holding her hand, and they're out there singing "We Shall Overcome" and "Kumbaya" and whatever other song that is in her Indian tradition, rich heritage.
Yeah, that Zoom call was horrible. Hey, wait, real quick before you leave.
Yo.
Have you been watching the Candace Owens? She's up to like 8 episodes about the Kamala family.
I caught it with Kwame. I'm not a fan, man.
Dude.
But you know what? I think she is right on the money. Probably. I'll try to catch up with it.
You need to watch this.
I always felt one thing I don't like is whether you are a Republican or a Democrat. I don't like people using their race, whether it be for or to counter things, as opportunism for come-ups. And I always felt that Candace Owens did that. I feel like who's the guy that the police officer guy that does it?
Tatum?
Yeah, Tatum. I always felt like he's that way as well. It's almost like Jason Whitlock is the same way. It's almost like nothing black is acceptable to them, or that's culturalized is acceptable to them. So it's just like I feel like they could be more impactful if they had a medium. Mark Robinson, I think, is a medium.
I think so. The reason I'll disagree is because they came at a time where it was not popular to be conservative and black. So they're like, especially Tatum and Candace Owens, they're like the two first ones on the in the social media age, because I mean, obviously we could talk about Thomas Sowell, we could talk about other people, but I'm talking about of this generation. Everyone who's come after them, I would agree with you more, but with those two, I couldn't disagree with you more because they're like the originals. Now, what I did not like was what was those two ladies? One of them passed away recently. The sisters.
Oh, Diamond and Silk.
Oh, see that to me is that's what you described to me, but I don't see that with Candace, and I don't see that with Brandon Tatum because I agree with them on almost everything that they're talking about. But if you need to watch this special on what she's uncovered about Kamala and her family, it's really, really interesting. And it's not conspiracy stuff because they have all the documents. And one of Kamala's uncles actually spoke with Candace on yesterday's. So today I'm waiting for the next one. Dude, I've never waited for someone to go live like this. And I've been waiting every day because she's been.
Where can I watch it on YouTube?
Yeah. She has a YouTube channel. It's not even monetized, but if you look at each episode, it's gotten over 1.5 million views. And she's on like number 8 now. It's insane. And when she went live the other day, she had 46,000 people in her chat, and it was a premiere. I'm like, oh my gosh! So it's a big deal. It really is, and it wouldn't be as big of a deal, but what she's doing is true, and that's why people are really watching and paying close attention to it, and the media is ignoring it for a reason.
Yeah, and that was the same thing that they with KB, that they try to ignore everything that he was saying, and so that's why I feel like they brought up LeBron's timely response to after all the stuff that Kwame has been talking with him. Now it's timely, and then the other media pundits ran to try to discredit it because I think the brother's talking about stuff politically.
Oh yeah,
so yeah, you got to pay attention to what people are saying.
I gotta check.
I reached out. Matt Barnes is running for president, so we should support him.
I reached out to Chael's son, and he used to follow me on Twitter. And then one day he announced that bad guys don't follow people, so he deleted everyone that he was following. Now he's got like almost 1 million followers, and he's following nobody. But I reached out; he still hasn't seen it. Who knows how many tweets or how many messages he gets? But yeah, he used to follow me on Twitter. I reached out to see if he can get, because he misunderstood what KB was doing. And he asked, who is Kwame Brown and why is he trying to bother me? And I'm like, no. So I typed up a thing. So we'll see. Hopefully he responds. Because he's always responded to me before in DMs and on Twitter, but he's a lot bigger now too. So
yeah. I mean, like I said, I really just want people to be authentic. When it comes to issues related to our community, I try to look at what's right and wrong, not what's, Republican or Democrat. And I just really have always been cautious about somebody, so for example, like Jason Whitlock going after Deion Sanders as much as he does.
Yeah. I think that's just him being
conservative
fearless.
standpoint.
Yeah, that's a fearless type of thing.
From a conservative standpoint, I thought the goal was to promote, fathers, being strong fatherhood and people who are outspoken in their faith and things like that nature. So I felt like it was because Deion was popular amongst, the Black community and all this other stuff, the hysteria around it. He was like, hey, I got to go against them.
But Candace Owens doesn't do that. She goes after everybody. Dude, she went after Jordan Peterson. I'm like, holy crap. Like she's not a Republican. Brandon Tatum is a Republican, and you will see him arguing for Republicans.
I gained respect. I gained some more respect for Candace Owens because I followed her when she was first on the rise. But I gained some respect for her when she went after Ben Shapiro.
Oh yeah.
When she went after
and
Ben
she
Shapiro.
couldn't say anything either. That's what I was like, huh? So she actually went after him before she went to Daily Wire, and then afterward they put like a gag order on her. But then she was able to finally speak out. But yeah, she just doesn't. I like that she doesn't toe any lines, and she's just going to say what she believes, whether it's right or wrong. I like that.
Yeah, it was so funny because I was in the barbershop last Saturday, and my barber, because we always talk about politics stuff, he was like, we were talking about Candace Owens because he can't stand Candace Owens. And he was like, well, and she married to a white man too. I said, well, you're about to vote for somebody that's married to a white man, So he was like,
he probably voted for Biden.
Yeah. Oh, he did. He was like, well, that's real, because you can't say nothing.
You can't say anything.
You can't say anything to me.
All right, man. Let me start.
All right, brother.
I'm
Well, hey, look.
gonna drop everybody's links.
Salute everybody. Peace.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, man. All right. So we went over the slap heard around the world. We went over MSNBC and James O'Keefe exposing them. Yeah, that's what I wanted to cover today. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Let me start dropping these links. Real Talk Nikki, great content creator. If you lean to the right at all, you will find her hilarious. She does great editing videos. Mel, who was just up here, this is his link. If you follow me on here, you should follow him on here. He's more centrist, as you can hear. I lean all the way to the right. I would put myself, if you guys don't know who Dr. Michael Savage is, that's how far right I am. Let's do that. Biz 101 is another one. You want to learn about investing, you want to learn about stocks or cryptocurrency, great free resource. Tearing the Black's going live. Hold on, I'm almost at yours. Kwame Brown Bust Life does not need my endorsement. He doesn't need any of that, but he is the most important person, the most important Black person in politics today, in my opinion. And I'm not sure people understand when I say that. I mean it. He has opened the eyes of so many. I mean, when he started first going live, or when he started popping off, going back at Matt Barnes and Stephen Jackson, he was already talking politics. But if you watched his lives when that was happening, there's 15, 20,000 people in his chats. If he brought up politics, they would be like, they would turn on him almost immediately. But he stuck with it and he explained his position, and no one, what's going on, Rare Money? No one is more real than this guy when he's talking politics. So you almost have to understand, okay, yeah, no, what he's saying makes sense. And he has opened the eyes. He didn't convert anybody. That's not his job. But he opened the eyes of so many people. And I really, truly believe that I've never seen anyone, any single person do that more than Kwame Brown. Vince is going live now, and he's covering mostly college football. And that's going to be his new lane. He's going to be all sports. I think mostly football, maybe some basketball later on. I don't know. Basketball season hasn't started yet. Bolo is covering Jamaican politics, but he covers very interesting topics. Definitely worth a follow. Taryn is going live tonight. He was live yesterday talking football. I jumped in there and said, "Go Bears, bear down." He laughed at me, and I think he picked against my team, but that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. Patriotic Porker is a friend of mine from Chicago. He actually went to school with some of my sisters, and he's really, really knowledgeable. He just started going live from his car like I used to. I think that's how everybody starts. Mel started the same way. Beautiful one. I'm not, unfortunately, I'm not sure she's going to be posting anymore, but it's still worth going to check out the stuff that she has posted because it's powerful, it's impactful. Jay has not gone live yet, but he will be. I just talked to him not too long ago, and he's still saying, I know. So hopefully that's a good thing. Amber C, I do have a new camera. Everyone who has donated to this channel, I'm sure this image looks a little bit clear. I was showing them earlier. I got a new camera, and that's from the donations that you guys have sent in to me. And I cannot stress how appreciative I am of that, because it's very, very humbling, but it also shows that you guys actually enjoy my yapping. My wife made me start going live because she had to hear all of this every day. Can you imagine listening to me all day, every day, yapping about politics? I don't think anyone can handle that. She can handle that. Anyway, she made me start going live, and apparently there's people who like what I have to say, and so much so that they've donated and have allowed me to invest in this channel. And if you want to do that, there's my Cash App. I bought a brand new camera. It is actually a step up from the one that the lead attorney recommends. I got to play with the lighting still. See, when I lean back, you can see the flag behind me. But when I lean forward, because it's doing all these adjustments, it gets dark. So I got to play with the lighting. But you guys supported this channel and are allowing me to improve the product. This microphone came from the money that you guys sent. Oh, actually, you know what? No, sorry. My wife bought me the microphone. But you guys got me the lights. You guys got me the camera, and it is extremely humbling to have people offer that as a token of, I guess, appreciation for what I'm saying. To me, that's amazing. And almost everyone in here has donated before, so that's even cooler to know that, man, these people are like real supporters. And if they're donating or not, there's people who are in here every live. I'm like, holy crap, this person's here. They really see my notification and come to talk to me. I think that's so cool. That's so cool. And yeah, I couldn't appreciate it more. Like, subscribe, share. Again, you can donate to Cash App. Everyone on here, if you are a content creator, you need to have Rumble. I didn't speak with Beautiful One about this, but I messaged her about this. I've mentioned it so many times. Rumble is just another platform. You can go live the exact same time. I am live right now on here, YouTube, as well as Rumble. There's no reason to not do that. Why wouldn't you? Your videos are monetized immediately, but it's a different earning system. But I don't know why anyone who has a YouTube would not have a Rumble. There's zero downside to it. You can request me on Instagram. This is my Twitter. You can catch me on Twitter. And let me make sure I'm not ignoring anybody. Okay. I would like to say thank you so much, Kara. So sweet. Amber C. Rare Money. Thank you, sir. CX. Taryn the Black. Mel Dub, obviously, who was up here. Mike Levin, always in here, always supporting. Miss Akimi was in here. Phoenix Rising, always in here supporting. Who else was in here? Kay Soprano, always in here, always supporting. Like, you guys don't understand how cool it is to know when somebody comments, I know who that is. That's really, really cool because you guys come back. That's awesome. Oliver Green Apartments, supporter in here also. Thank you, sir, for stopping back. I don't know. That might be it. I always say that and then I always find. Oh, L Boogie. See, Kartra Meta Jagger. Uncle L was in here. Appreciate you guys all stopping in. I believe. Now I think that's it. Vibes of my lane. See, I always feel guilty. This is why I scroll all the way up. True Essence was in here. And I almost didn't acknowledge her. Free J, a support, like another supporter who's always in here. I almost forgot. So I would feel so terrible if I logged out and didn't say hello to these people. Appreciate you all for coming in. I think I came in on Man in Charge by Pete Rock. Pretty sure that was it. Let me get rid of that so I can play my music. I'm going to go out today on 30 Guns. If you don't know who that is, I link my music every time because some people ask. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, CX. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate my knowledge. What's cool is my knowledge. Oh, I appreciate you appreciating. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you, and I am out.